Hey everyone, Andrew back again and welcome to another video, and as you can tell from the title, I'm here with my top 10 franchise list. Now this list took a while. I've been working on it for a while now actually, because several months ago I got tagged from Retro Horror or Wayne, who uploaded a very in-depth video on his top 30 franchises, and he laid out some pretty strict rules for himself, and I really enjoyed that video. So if you haven't checked that one out, guys, I highly recommend it. I'll leave a link to the video in the description box below. Now Wayne, apologies it's taken me so long to get to this ranking, and I won't be doing a top 30, I'm going to be doing a top 10. However, I will be following some of your rules myself, because I thought the rules you put in place were very interesting and I wanted to do something similar. And more recently, I also have been tagged by Sean Urshan. So Sean, thanks for the tag, and the tag's currently going around at the moment. A lot of people have been involved with it, which is great. I've been enjoying watching everyone's lists, and there's been some variety in the lists as well, which is good. So yeah, that's basically it. I will go over the rules that I set for myself. So originally I came up with 10 franchises that I was pretty much happy with, that I consider to be my top 10. So that wasn't the hard part, that was pretty easy. Now I set 3 pretty strict rules in place. The first rule, and I think this really applies to most people, I had to like the majority of films within said franchise for it to make the list. So there's a lot of horror franchises out there where I only really like 1 or 2 movies, and the rest I'm not a fan of, so obviously I couldn't include those. The second rule, which was really tricky and made for some surprising results, but I wanted to be pretty strict on this. I ranked each franchise on the movies individually, so what I consider to be good movies and movies that I don't like. And this is where things got hard, and some of the results got affected by this. So what I mean by that is, there may be, say, a franchise with half a dozen movies in it. I absolutely love four of the movies. They're great. 2 I absolutely hate. So obviously I had to rank that franchise lower, and so on. And the third rule that I put in place for myself is to do with the top 5. So my top 5 had to consist of at least one 10 out of 10 movie that I consider to be an absolute masterpiece. And then across the board, the rest of the franchise had to be pretty consistent score-wise as well. So I've done that. I feel I've accomplished that the best that I could, and I've even surprised myself with some of the results. So I think some of the rankings for certain franchises are going to be a surprise to some of you guys. But I really wanted to be strict with this. I wanted to put some rules in place, and I'm pretty happy with the outcome. So enough rambling on, let's get on with the top 10 franchise list. Sitting at number 10 we have Godzilla. Now this was a difficult one for me to rank, to be honest, because I kind of feel in a way that this franchise should be ranked higher in my list. However, the reason that it sits at number 10 is because I'm still really new to the franchise overall. The majority of the films that I have seen I've thoroughly enjoyed. I think they are absolutely fantastic. However, I have not seen every movie from this franchise, not even close to it. But to me this is definitely top 10 material. I think the Godzilla series and franchise is absolutely phenomenal, especially in terms of effects and creature design. So yeah, Godzilla sits at number 10. Sitting at number 9 goes to the Child's Play franchise. And this was another one that was pretty difficult for me to rank, to be honest, because I hold this franchise in extremely high regard, especially 5 of the films. So I absolutely love Child's Play 1, 2 and 3, and I think Cult of Chucky and Curse of Chucky are fantastic reboots or comeback films for the franchise. However, There's two movies within this franchise that I absolutely despise, and that is Bride and Seed. I think they are god-awful movies, both of them. I hate them, so unfortunately they bring the ranking of this series overall down for me. If it wasn't for those two films, in my opinion, this would probably be the most perfect horror franchise in existence, but you know what? Those two movies are part of this franchise, so I have ranked it accordingly. So that's the Child's Play series at number 9. Sitting at number 8, we have the Sleepaway Camp franchise. And like Child's Play, this is close to a perfect franchise in my opinion. So part 1, one of my favourite slashers of all time. It's an excellent film. Part 2 is a fantastic follow-up. And then part 3, while not quite as good, is still a really solid entry. However, there's one film that I do not care for, and that of course is Return to Sleepaway Camp, which is not a good film whatsoever. So as much as I love this franchise, there's one film that does knock it down a little bit for me, so that's why Sleepaway Camp sits at number 8. Sitting at number 7, we have the Hatchet franchise. So 4 movies in total. Hatchet 1, which is fantastic. Hatchet 2, which I absolutely love. It's probably my favourite modern slasher, and it's my favourite within the series. Hatchet 3, which is my least favourite, although it's still not a terrible film. And Victor Crowley, I thought, was a pretty good addition to the franchise, although I could have done without some of the comedy elements, but overall Victor Crowley was good. So there's not really much more to say about this franchise, and it sits at number 7 for me. Sitting at number 6 goes to Friday the 13th franchise. This is one of the big hitters, needs no introduction, and overall this is an amazing franchise, especially considering the amount of films that it's had over the years and how long it's been running for. And I really hope really soon, especially with the popularity of the new Halloween film, that we get a new Friday the 13th movie sometime soon. Anyway, back on track here. Sits at number 6 for me. Fantastic franchise overall. There's a few movies within the franchise that I don't like, but for the most part, really solid franchise. Has some absolutely fantastic kills, some great characters. So Friday the 13th sits at number 6 for me. Okay, so now we're down to the top 5. So sitting at number 5 goes to the Evil Dead franchise. And yes, I'm going to include Ash vs Evil Dead, as I do consider it part of the franchise overall. And what can I say about this one? This is another one that's got a lot of fans, and for good reason. Phenomenal franchise overall. The Evil Dead, the original film, is a 10 out of 10 for me. It's an absolute horror classic. I'm a big fan of Evil Dead 2. Army of Darkness, not so much. The remake, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed what they did with the remake. And Ash vs Evil Dead, I have not seen the entire series yet. I've still yet to pick up season 3, obviously. But from what I've seen, that's really good as well. So yeah, not really anything negative to say about this franchise overall. Great one, and sits at number 5. Sitting at number 4, we have the Psycho series. Now, I'm only really going to be focusing on the 4 original films, but the original Psycho, 10 out of 10. It's a slasher masterpiece in my opinion. Really helped kickstart the slasher genre, so very influential. The sequel is absolutely fantastic. I rate that one extremely highly as well. One of my favourite sequels actually. And part 3 and part 4 are also really good. So overall, this is a fantastic franchise in terms of the 4 original movies. So Psycho sits at number 4. Okay, so this is probably a surprise to pretty much everyone that the Halloween franchise is ranked number 3 for me. But under the rules that I set up for myself, that I wanted to stick to for this ranking, yeah, Halloween 3 sits at number 3. So obviously the original Halloween is an absolute masterpiece, another 10 out of 10 horror film for me, my favourite horror film of all time. Part 2 I think is an absolutely phenomenal sequel. Part 3 I don't like. Part 4 is great. Part 5 I don't like. Part 6 I like. H2O I like. Resurrection I like. The remake I like. I don't care what anyone says. And Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is just okay. So yeah, this franchise has a few duds. You can't deny that. But it also has some really, really quality films as well. So under my rules for this particular ranking, I think number 3 overall is a fair spot to place the Halloween franchise. Okay, and sitting at number 2 spot goes to the Dead franchise. So I'm not going to include the remakes, I'm just going to include the George A. Romero movies. So we have Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. All fantastic films, what can I say? And in my opinion, probably the best horror trilogy in existence. And then we have Land of the Dead, which I'm also a massive fan of. I love Land of the Dead, it's also really, really awesome. Now I'm missing Survival and Diary, which I don't own, however I've seen both of them, and yeah, I'm not big fans of those films. But for the first 4 films, I think they are absolutely outstanding zombie flicks. So that's pretty much all I really have to say on the Dead franchise. It sits at number 2 for me. So this is where you guys are probably wondering what my number 1 pick is, because I've already mentioned some pretty popular franchises. I've already ranked Halloween already, and I've just ranked the Dead franchise. So what is it? What is sitting at number 1? Alrighty, so here we have it. Sitting at number 1 goes to the Wolf Creek franchise, and this is possibly a surprise to pretty much everyone that this is number 1. However, under my rules for doing this video, this is where I have placed Wolf Creek. And yes, I am including the 2 seasons of the television series, so technically that makes up 4. Now, in my opinion, this is the only horror franchise that is 100% perfect. There's not a dud in this franchise for me. Wolf Creek 1 is a 10 out of 10 modern masterpiece in my opinion, and probably my favourite Aussie horror film. Wolf Creek 2, while kind of different in tone to the first film, I think it's an absolutely phenomenal sequel. And the 2 seasons of the television show are also fantastic. Now, I don't own season 2, I have watched it, and season 2 is fantastic. Now, season 1 is a little bit different in terms of the movies, just in terms of some of the character focus, but it's fantastic all the same. And season 2 is more akin to the first 2 movies, and it's fantastic as well. So yeah, Wolf Creek, perfect horror franchise in my opinion, both the movies and the 2 seasons of the television show. So that is why it ranks at number 1. Alrighty, so there you go, that was my top 10 franchise list. Let me know what you think of the way that I've ranked these movies in the comment section below. I think I've done justice to these franchises under the rules that I put in place at the beginning of the video. I'm pretty happy with my rankings. Obviously the Halloween ranking definitely surprised me. I still consider it to be my favourite franchise overall, but under this ranking obviously it didn't quite make number 1, so that was a pretty surprising result. But anyway guys, I'm going to leave this tag open to anyone else that wants to participate, so if you guys feel like uploading your top franchise list, definitely do so. I'd be keen to check them out. Anyway guys, that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and thank you for watching.